Hello folks, welcome again to another episode of Shayorama, where we talk all about comics and trading cards to do with Marvel superheroes and supervillains, as well as other characters from other publishers, including DC, Image, and Valiant Comics, if so happens to be it. Alright, so as usual, this is going to be an episode where we're going to spend some time talking about five cards from the Impel 1992 trading card series. And we have done our number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first episode where we talk about Cannonball, Gambit, Spider-Man, who did we miss? And then we had Sleepwalker. And so these characters have already been mentioned in the first episode. And then in the second episode, we cracked open a booster pack from the 1996 Fleer X-Men booster pack series. And we found a few characters there, for example, Magneto, as well as Beast. Now, before we move on to talking about these 5 cards that we're going to talk about, the next 5 cards in the Impel 1992 trading card series, let's double back and just get back into what we've talked about in the past from episode 1 and episode 2. Now, for example, in episode 1, I mentioned that Gambit was working together with Mr. Sinister, and then to give you more details about this, Gambit was part of Mr. Sinister's gang. They were attacking Morlocks. The Morlocks are a group of mutants that live underground because they do not want to be viewed by the normal humans or the mutants, because they are very different. The way that they look, the appearance, they're different, so they feel conscious about how they look. So that includes, for example, persons like Beast. Now, although that Beast is a mutant itself, that it has this feral look that he might not favor initially, but then he grew on it. He grew into this feature of this feral, furry character that he is at the moment right now. And then also in episode 2, we crack open Psylocke. We open up one card on Psylocke, and then I mentioned that she is the sister to Captain Britain. And then I mentioned the name Matthew Braddock. Now, I stand corrected. The name is not Matthew Braddock. I went back and I found out that Captain Britain's name is Brian Braddock. I think that covers what we found from episode 1 and episode 2. So welcome now to episode 3. We'll be talking about 5 cards, number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 from the 1992 Impel trading card series. Unfortunately, I can only find 3 cards from range 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got number 6, which is Beast. I've got number 8, which is Weapon Omega, and of course number 9, Doctor Strange. Now what I'm missing is number 7, which was meant to be Quicksilver, and number 10, which is meant to be Major Victory. Now, although I don't have the cards with me at the moment, I'm going to use substitute cards that I have for my other card sets. For example, I've got Quicksilver here from the set with X-Men 1990, I think it's 1995, 1994, but we'll be using that later. So, as usual, we're going to spend more or less around 15 to 20 minutes talking about each of these 5 cards from the 1992 Impel trading card series, starting with, of course, we've got Beast. Now, remember in episode 2, we cracked open a booster pack and we found Beast as well as Alter Beast. Now, I'm not really sure if Alter Beast is similar to the Dark Beast, because there is a creature. There's a character in the Marvel comic universe that's named Dark Beast, which is an alter ego not an alter ego, but kind of like a clone of Beast, but a more evil version. So let's move on to talk about Beast right now. Let's focus on Beast. Now, he in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he has been appearing in most of the movies. The reason being is that the X-Men group, the team, was founded by Beast and a few of the original members as well. Now, the Beast started as someone from a small town with parents, with a father who was working in a nuclear facility. And the reason why Beast mutated was because of the father bringing in radiation, and then that came into Beast when he was perhaps when he was even born. We're not even sure what's the storyline behind that, but he was born a mutant. And as all other mutants go, mutations only appear. For example, their powers and their abilities only appear once they reach puberty. And that's what happened to Beast as well. When he was in school, he developed certain features that were different. For example, very large arms, very large legs and feet, and lengthy arms and feet and strength and all that. But at that time, he wasn't furry. He didn't have this kind of features, this furry kind of feature that he has right now, that we know Beast as how he is now. When he but at the same time he was still very conscious of how he looked. So he went and sought refuge uh, with Charles Xavier in the Xavier School for Gifted Children, and he went there and he was very impressed with how Xavier was working with his students, with his children with different abilities and different appearances. And that's when he became he brought up into someone who was intelligent. He's got his super intelligence. If you see his meter here, his intelligence is around 5, which is quite above average. Like I said in my previous episode, he's also responsible for maintaining the Blackbird that X-Men uses to fly around, and also the Cerebro machine that Xavier uses to track all the mutants available. So Beast is that he's the brain of the organization. So before that, before he became this furry feral character that he is now, when he was in X-Men, he had this costume and he looked very much human-like. And he was part of the X-Men team, and then he kind of experimented with something. He experimented with some formula that he injected himself with, and it was meant to return him back to his human form, to somewhat similar to what he was before all these what they call these abilities, as well as these very striking features that he had. I believe the movie, one of those X-Men movies covered that. But what happened was that instead of returning into that kind of a permanent appearance of being a human, instead he became permanently this Beast here, this furry blue character that he is now. And he kind of like it took him quite a while for him to get accustomed to it. But eventually he became this. He was accepting how he looked like, and this is what the story of Beast is all about. And he was also, if I can recall properly, because I've got this card as well on number 8, which is Weapon Omega. He was also involved in the Omega machine, which was to do with extracting mutant abilities to be extracted and to be imported into Weapon Omega, so that Weapon Omega has a lot of these mutant abilities. There was this arc in the comic back then around the 90s talking about the Omega machine and how Weapon Omega was very influential in that, was the main character, and Beast was involved in that. He was captured along with Xavier into I believe some kind of island, and they were taken into this machine, this Omega machine, and their powers were about to be extracted and all that. So that is what Beast is. I believe that if you watch all the X-Men movies, you'll be able to understand how the Beast works, his abilities and all that. So the X-Men group distanced themselves from the Civil War saga. So, but the story is this: that Beast had he assisted Peter Parker, Spider-Man at that time, to do some stuff. Forgot what it was. I really forgot what it was. It was quite a while back. That was in the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. So basically that's what it is. Beast was part of the X-Men team, but also he became more and more involved with the Avengers. He became more and more involved with the Avengers, and whenever he's not with the Avengers, he goes back to the X-Men team, especially when they were dealing with the Phoenix Saga. There was an arc in the comic universe to do with Dark Phoenix and Jean Grey and all that, so he helped out X-Men in that regard. But other than that, he became more and more of an Avenger and less of an X-Men. But he plays both roles. He was also part of the Defenders. The Defenders then was not to do with the Defenders that we know of in terms of Netflix, for example, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Iron Fist. It was a different kind of Defenders back then. But yeah, so that's what Beast is all about, and I think that's good enough for us to know that he is there. And then card number 7 is actually basically is Quicksilver. So I'm going to use this one instead. Now Quicksilver, like I mentioned in episode 1, is supposedly the son of Eric Lensher, the son of Magneto. And there is this one scene, I think it's Days of Future Past, where Quicksilver wanted to console Magneto, his dad, not to do what he was doing at the time. Quicksilver is the twin brother of Wanda Maximoff, which is Scarlet Witch. In recent years, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has introduced to us this twin these twin siblings, Quicksilver, who died during the war in Sokovia, but Wanda Maximoff became the Scarlet Witch, one of the strongest characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the moment. But before that, prior to that, Pietro Maximoff also appeared during in the X-Men series, in the X-Men movie series as well. He helped out everyone when the X-Men mansion was exploding. So, as Quicksilver's power, as you can see, he's very, very, very fast. He's extremely fast. You'll see his power in the movie as well, his ability. Now, things to know about Quicksilver. Let's see. Well, he got married. He got married to one of the Inhumans called Crystal. The Inhumans are neither mutants or they're humans. They are just normal humans that have been changed, transformed into having superhuman powers because they were exposed to something to do with a mess. I cannot remember what it was. I think it's Terrigen mess. And so he got married to Crystal because Crystal was at that time, she tended to Quicksilver's injuries, if I'm not mistaken. So Quicksilver previously, before he became an Avenger, he was an enemy to the Avengers, like how the movie extrapolated that kind of role. Him and Scarlet Witch were the two the enemies that were brought up by in terms of the role by Ultron. So Ultron brought them together as well to fight against the Avengers. But in turn, it turns out that they became Avengers themselves. So that's the whole storyline of the Quicksilver arc. There's a lot more that can be unpacked in terms of who Quicksilver is, but basically that's who he is. He is meant to be the son of Magneto and the half-brother of Polaris, who is an Excalibur member. And we'll talk about Polaris in the future. So that's card number 7, meant to be number 7. So now we are moving on to Weapon Omega. Now, Weapon Omega, he's not really that well known, but if you followed the Alpha Flight series back then, Weapon Omega was a character that was created to become a weapon of menace. I remember that he killed thousands and thousands of people, including members of the Alpha Flight, the original members of the Alpha Flight. And because of that, I'm going to bring the Alpha Flight card here from the same set. We've got Sasquatch, we've got Talisman, we've got a few people in here, including Weapon Omega. Weapon Omega is there. Eventually, Weapon Omega became a good guy because he didn't know that he was doing these bad things because he was controlled, he was manipulated, he was mind controlled by, I forgot who he was, a villain of some sort. But Weapon Omega, his power, his ability is he's able to extract, to manipulate, to extract, to copy, and to mimic not only other superheroes or super villains' abilities, but also the appearances, the personality, not the appearances, but the personality. So that's what Weapon Omega's power is. So he's able to just replicate. For example, if Cyclops is in front of Weapon Omega, next to Weapon Omega will be able to extract, will be able to copy that kind of power. Now the problem is he doesn't have the experience to handle these powers, which is the reason why he needs a special suit to protect himself from doing these very, very nasty things. So that's Weapon Omega for you. So the next one after number 8, we've got number 9, Dr. Stephen Strange. I don't think we have to dwell into Doctor Strange much because the movies have already described in detail who Dr. Stephen Strange is. Benedict Cumberbatch is a very good shoe-in for Doctor Strange, and we know that Doctor Strange has a lot of these. He's a master of the mystical arts. He's a sorcerer supreme. He was trained by the Ancient One to do astral projection. You've seen those in the movies. He has the Eye of Agamotto. He has that, and then he's got the Cloak of Levitation as well. So he's got several of these mystical powers as well as mystical artifacts that he owns. And in the Book of Grimoire as well, to teach for him to train the master of, for example, mystical powers and also chaos magic. If you watch, this might be a spoiler, but if you watch Scarlet Witch, the Wonder Vision at the very end, I believe it was Wonder Vision at the very end. It was to do with Wonder Witch. At the very end, it was to do with Wonder Witch, Scarlet Witch, dwelling into a bit of chaos magic. So Doctor Strange is also in the comic universe also did some dabbling in terms of chaos magic as well. So that's who he is. He is an Avenger, but he is also someone who works very secluded, what do you call it, covertly. He is not really that someone who appears much, although he is known to be a very egotistical person. And you can see that when he was being a surgeon, that kind of personality was being presented there. All right. Let's see. What's cut number 10? Oh yeah, cut number 10, which I'm missing right now in the 1992 Impel trading card set, is Major Victory. Now, I don't have Major Victory's card at the moment. I know that it's somewhere, it's misplaced somewhere, because I got too many cards. But this is how Major Victory looks like. Does he remind you of anyone? Alright, let's talk about Major Victory. Let's talk about his origins, his history. Now, Major Victory, his real name is Vance Astrovic, and he was an astronaut. He was trained as an astronaut, and he became one of the youngest astronauts to be able to fly away out of Earth orbit and go to find new worlds. And that's what he did. When he became Major Vance Astrovic, he was sent to planets. And there was one planet that he was sent to, Alpha Centauri. The planet is in Alpha Centauri. And to go there, it takes thousands and thousands of years. So they had to create a suit for him so that he will live a long life. So he will be able to reach Alpha Centauri and wake up over there, and he still has his age that he's able to do some stuff over there. But unfortunately, during the flight, he was woken up, and then he became this. He was woken up, and then he had to do some stuff on the what do you call this, on the rocket, whatever it is, a spaceship. And then when he arrived to Alpha Centauri, he realized that there were already humans there, because while he was sleeping in his spaceship, other humans had the advancements of technology in terms of spaceships and all that became more advanced. And when he arrived in Alpha Centauri, he was disappointed there were already humans there. But Alpha Centauri also had natives, a native alien race, and one of who is the famous character in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is Yondu Udonta. You know Yondu, the one who actually kidnapped Star-Lord and refused to give him to the person who wanted him, which was Ego, which was Star-Lord's dad. That's Yondu Udonta there. So what happened was, when Yondu's planet was attacked by this alien race. I forgot what it was. I think an alien race, was it Badoon or something like that? So Yondu and Major Victory, at that time was Vance Astro, had this partnership agreement. So they escaped. They fled from the planet destruction, and then they forged this bond of friendship. And together with them, they also met Charlie 27. If you've watched the moment in the Guardians of, I think the moment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when the Ravagers came and they were grieving for Yondu's death, Charlie 27 was one of those characters in one of those ships. And so him and who was the other one? I think it was Martinex. I think Martinex was the other one. So the four of them actually created the first Guardians of the Galaxy. They were the first who created Guardians of the Galaxy. But this is in the 31st century. So I believe it was 10th century after the 21st century when Star-Lord's Guardian of the Galaxy happened. So when you're watching the movies of Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Guardians of the Galaxy with Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot, and Drax, and Gamora, those are the team that's from the 21st century. While there's another Guardians of the Galaxy in an alternate timeline where Major Vance Astro, which was Major Victory, without this suit, he was still wearing his Major Victory suit, and Yondu and Charlie 27 and Martinex became the Guardians of the Galaxy. And they were the one who actually also helped out Earth, because Earth was also being attacked by the same alien race, and it was Major Vance Astro was helping out in that sense. At that time, he didn't have this Captain America shield, so let's talk a bit about that. So before he before he looked like this, he was wearing this suit that helped him not to age, not to die after exposure, because he has been aging for thousands of years. So the idea is this. So he was kept in that kind of suit, costume, and then he was able to live a kind of like a normal life without being exposed to this outside world where it will make him age very fast. But also during the course of his storyline, he met someone who is, I believe, a friend, a companion of Doctor Strange. Let's take Doctor Strange back here. I believe his name was Kruger, who was also a master of the mystical arts, who was magical powers and all that. So what Kruger did was he took away Major Victory's dependency on that suit. He took away Major Victory's dependency on that suit, and then he was able, at long last, people depict him. The comic depicted him as having this kind of human features. So that's what he was before the Captain America shield. And then from doing so, after he evolved into this kind of human-like character, he sought after Captain America's shield, which was at that time was missing. So he went all around the all the Marvel comic universe, and then he eventually found it, and that's why he now wields the Captain America shield, and him being named as Major Vance Astro and the leader of kind of like the co-leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy with Star-Lord at that time. I remember reading the comics; it was a bit confusing at first. There are some parts that because of the alternate timelines and all that, it was quite confusing. But we were able to figure out that Major Victor came from a galaxy far ahead in time. So and also we're talking about Charlie 27, also another member in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Starhawk is the guy who actually did. Starhawk was the guy who actually did. Who was the one behind the formation of the Guardians of the Galaxy. He led everyone together to create this team. And Starhawk is the husband of Alita, and we'll talk a bit more about Starhawk and Alita, because Alita got married into Major Vance Astro. When we arrive to the cards, then we'll be able to talk a bit about these other characters. But Major Vance Astro is quite a very big character back then, because he was the other wielder of the Captain America shield, and he was also known as Major Victory. And I want to bring this once more. This guy in the New Warriors, which is Marvel Boy, that is also Major Victory. This is Major Victory, but somehow Vance Astro, who is a time traveler, went back in time and told his younger self about his abilities, his psionic abilities, being able to control psionic blast and all that. And that kind of knowledge led to the alternate Vance Astro, the younger version, to become one of the New Warrior members, which is Marvel Boy. And this is weird enough, because we have several of these. We've got Major Vance Astro, we've got Major Victory, we've got Marvel Boy, all existing at the same time in these multiverses. But also, this is when the multiverses gets very, very confusing. There was one cosmic event when Major Victory, Major Vance Astro had to attend, and there were several other Major Vance Astros that were present then as well, which confirmed around the 90s. This is not a concept that has been brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe recently about the multiverses. Multiverses did exist during the 90s, during the Silver Age of comics. It confirmed that there were several Major Vance Astros or Major Victory that were existing at the same time, but from different multiverses. So that's very, very, it's very deep, it's very detailed and all that. So those are the characters in terms of card number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Card number 6 is the Beast. Card number 7, what we're missing here is Quicksilver, which we kind of like use this as a signpost. Card number 8 is Weapon Omega. Card number 9 is Doctor Strange, and card number 10 is Major Vance Astro or Major Victory. So that's everything within 17 minutes, and we're gonna go next for episode 4. So that's all from me today, from Shai Orama, and that's all, folks. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and then meet me up on episode 4 in the future.